Hey y'all, welcome back to Bread at the Wire. Well, Saturday offers a couple of stakes races, so as part of our daily stakes play, we're going to take a look at the Kelso. And it's a pretty good field of turf entrants, so let's take a look at it. The Kelso is the ninth race on Saratoga's card on Saturday, and it's a Grade 3. It's run on the inner turf at a mile for 4-year-olds and up. So let's take a look at it. Number 1 is English B, and you see he's at 20-1. Graham Motion's barn is going pretty well right now. And third off the layoff is a favorable stat. This one always seems to be the bridesmaid. He, just always seems to run his race, but he's never better than third and perhaps second. You go back a little bit, and you do see he won an option 75, so he's kind of on the borderline Grade 3 allowance level type of horse. I think he's in decent enough form here. And I likely, expect him probably to be under. He'll be rating just off the leaders, and there is some pace in this race, so he should be able to get first jump, and that'll keep him in. But I don't expect him to be a serious player or a win candidate. But under, yes. Annapolis is, Todd Pletcher, Rod Ortiz at Saratoga on the turf. What more do you want? This one's been a solid performer for sure. At a mile is a very good distance for him. You see that the Breeders' Cup was was what it was. Modern Games, nobody's beaten that horse. But aside from that, this one's had a pretty stellar record. He's never been out of the money, save for the Breeders' Cup, 6 wins and 2 seconds. So the opening verse, he had a nice effort. It was kind of weird when he took him a little while to get going, I thought, but once he did, it was a solid win, and that was his debut at 4 years old. So coming into his next start, we certainly expect a top effort. The question I have is that there is a lot of pace in this race, and it's hot. They like to run hot. They're not going to try to slow it down. The 5 and the 6 are going to just go for it right off the bat. That's what they do. So my thinking is that perhaps will compromise Annapolis a little bit because he's going to be right behind it more than likely. If they try to take him back a little further, I think it might sap his ability to finish. You go back to the Saratoga Derby last year, and that's exactly what they did. They tried to take him a little further back, and he couldn't get to Nation's Pride. So that's just a little question I have. He's certainly a horse for the course. He's 2 wins in 1 second, so fully expect him to be a win candidate, and we'll give a top performance for sure here. Midday Image is David Jacobson. You don't see in graded stakes races too often. This one's more of a pace presence, I think. His last graded stakes effort was the Pan American, you see, back in April of last year, and it didn't turn out too well. And really more than anything else, I don't think his form is that bad, and stretching out shouldn't be too much of an issue. But I kind of think his best days are behind him, and more than anything else, he's got a lot of other pace to deal with in this race, and I think they're likely going to sap his chances. So I don't think this is a good venue for Midday Image. Ice Chocolat, trained by Mark Cassidy, you get Flavian Pratt. This is one that perhaps can benefit from a hot pace. You see in the Jaipur, he ran a pretty good race, wasn't too far behind Casa Creed. So the form is pretty good right now. But I just don't think he's, you don't see 100 buyer there, and that's kind of what you're going to need to win this race, I think. And that's the issue I have more than anything else with this one. I just don't think he's fast enough, but he should be rating about mid-pack, and that might be a pretty good place to get a good jump. You get Flavian Pratt aboard, and so there are some things to like here, but I just kind of think that he's going to be up against it. Certainly the top 2 in this race are superior horses to this one. Big Everest is one of the pace factors we've been speaking about. You get Christophe Clement, who's gone back to his old traditional ways at Saratoga. He's got a win already. And this one has a win at Saratoga, so you know he doesn't have a problem with the track, and he likes it, and that's certainly a big edge here. This one is a win machine. You know, he just wins at the ungraded stakes level consistently. The last one in the cliffhanger at Monmouth, you know, look at those fractions. I mean, 47 and 110. You don't see that too often in New York on turf. And he was full of run in the stretch. I mean, there was no doubt who was going to win the race, and he just seemed to have tons left. So I think he's coming into this race in very good form, but he's getting kind of out of his comfort zone by raising up in class. And the horse right next to him likes to do exactly the same thing that he does. So I think his chances of victory are really compromised. But I like this horse. I just think he might be up against it here because he's not really going to be able to control things. Philo di Ariana is the one I spoke of, and this one's another one who just has, there's no doubt what he wants to do, wants to get up to the lead. Now, he can rate, but it's obviously not his best option. His best option is to go to the lead and just try to hang on. And you see the last race in the poker, he set similar fractions to those at Big Everest, and Emmanuel got nailed him. But he ran a really good race, really solid. And you can say that if, in fact, you know, somebody tries to, one of the pace setters tries to get cute and tries to rate to stay off of it, well, that'll go right into his wheelhouse. And on the front end, he'd be awful tough to stop. He can be beaten. We have a couple horses in here who likely can get to him. But of the pace setters, and of the three of them, he is, I think, the best and has the best chance to wire the field. And we'll just see if he's good enough. Probably can stick around for under, would be my guess. Anaconda is just kind of a hard luck horse. I think I really like this horse. He gives an honest effort every single time, and you know, he just either runs up against a horse like Big Everest on the front end, or he runs into traffic or something. The last race, the poker, he ran a really nice race. Had a bad break, and that kind of compromised his chances. So he had to hustle up. Probably didn't have quite as much as I would have liked to have seen him have, but he made a move on the rail, had a little bit of traffic, so it was a little difficult for him to get going. I don't think he was going to win the race, but I think he would have been more closer to it, and perhaps second or third. It was a top effort, and this horse is going really well right now. Now, if he rates to the back, or at least mid-pack, he'll be out of that the oven that will be the pace. And that gives him a really legitimate chance here. Now, Joe Sharp is a barn. His barn is going really well right now, and you get Gaffalione aboard. He's clicking really well with. So there's a lot of things to like about this horse. I think he's certainly the value of the field, and we're hoping that, you know, with Annapolis and Casa Creed in the field, that perhaps his odds will drift up a little further. He's an exotics player more than likely, but you never know. I mean, under the right circumstances, if he can get a trip finally, that he could be up in the mix here. So this is one to look out for. Casa Creed is the old veteran. You know, it's just Bill Mott seems to have a barn full of these horses he can just mix and match. This is a horse for the course. He's 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 thirds, so no problem running here. He just keeps motoring right along, whether it be a sprint or a mile. He won the 4-star Dave here last year, so that shouldn't be a problem. He's going to be coming from off the pace, and again, there's going to be plenty of it, so I think this is a custom fit for him. It sets up really logically, and the thought is that because he'll be off the pace, that he will have the best chance to take this one down. Annapolis is going to be a little closer to it, and it might burn him up a little bit. So I like Casa Creed in this spot. He is coming in second off the layoff for a first-class trainer. And Bill Mott loves to shine on the big stakes days. You just can always count on it. Wherever there's a big stakes day, if Bill Mott's there, his horses are going to fire full blast. So I really like Casa Creed's chances here. 5-2. Hopefully we can get a little something similar to that. Annapolis is going to take a lot of money, but I think he's the best this race has to offer for a win. If this one does go to the dirt, Casa Creed might not be a bad choice either. But likely Gunnett would be the logical win candidate. Linda Rice, Jose Ortiz, she's just red hot, won the Belmont training title, and has already got a couple. I think she got a win today, so she's already got a couple wins, and she's just motoring right along. This horse, I'll be honest, I've never been a big fan of him because he always seems to get second. He just can't quite get there, but obviously in the hands of Linda Rice, this one has started to assert himself. So very possible. On the dirt, I think you'd have to consider him a logical win candidate. But I think they'll keep this one on the turf. But if they don't, Gunnett's your horse. So here's our top 5 for the Kelso. Number 1, we're going to go with Casa Creed. I think his late running style is really going to be perfect. It's set up by the hot pace. We've got 3 horses who just want to get on the engine and fire, and I think that's really going to benefit him ideally. And he's in good form. He's a horse for the course, and he knows how to win. So I really like Casa Creed's chances here. Number 2 is Anaconda. If he can just get a trip, if he can just avoid some of the traffic and finally get free, he's got a chance to take this one down. It's a little remote, but he does have the possibility of doing it. He's in really good form right now. Would need a slight jump forward, but it's certainly possible, and I really like his chances at the very least to be in the money, and you're probably going to get a pretty good price. Number 3 is Annapolis. We can't deny the talent there. I just have a feeling he's going to be a little softened up, rating off a pretty hot pace. If they take him back a little further, I think that kind of makes compromises his chances a little more because it hasn't seemed to work for him in the past. So Annapolis at number 3. Number 4, we're going to go with Filo de Ariana. He's just an honest hard knocker. There's no doubt what he wants to do, and you got to love a horse like that. If by chance some of the other horses back up who like to be on the front end and let him free, there's a very good possibility he could wire this horse. He is good enough to do that. I think it's a little unlikely, but I also know that this horse has a lot of grit, and I certainly think he could end up in the money. Number 5 is English B. He always runs his race. He's a very honest horse. It's just not good enough, but he does have the possibility of getting in the money. He'll be off the pace, so he can likely end up in the exotic, so that's very possible, I think. Our website is up and running, rightatthewire.com, and go on over there and check it out. There's some really nice opportunities for you. And something I haven't mentioned before, I wanted to add a learning materials section for you newer handicappers. I know when you start out, sometimes it's hard to know how to approach it. So I provided a reading list of books that I read when I started out that will really help you get up and running and hone your craft and get you, fast track you into being a seasoned horse player really quickly. They're all great, and they're all straightforward, and I think you'll really enjoy them. For you more experienced players, it's always a good place to go to sharpen your skills, maybe learn another aspect of handicapping that you perhaps think needs work, or you can just refresh. And, the older we get, the more we forget, so there's a good place to refresh your memory. Some really good materials there, and I encourage you to check it out. We will continue to have our stakes posting every day. There's a stakes race. We'll have the featured one, and so you can come back here every day for that. And we're going to do that for the entire Saratoga meet. And of course, if you do like what you see here, please like and subscribe. And we thank you so much for coming by, particularly you new people. Welcome aboard. Hope to see you again. Love the way this community is growing. And let's keep striving, working together to be right at the wire, because that's what it's all about. So I'll be talking to you in the very near future. And until then, be well.